From the outside, Zion Uba and his wife Emilda looked like the kind of couple people posted about with captions like God Wang. They lived in a beautiful white duplex on the quiet side of Independence Layout Enugu and owned 2 expensive cars. Their Instagram pages were filled with pictures from expensive restaurants, weekend getaways, and soft life. At every party, they arrived hand in hand with matching outfits, and to everyone who knew them, they were the true definition of couple. Goals. Emilda was a tall, elegant, and effortlessly graceful woman who could walk into a room and people noticed her without trying. And, well, Zion had the kind of charm that turned heads too. He was handsome, broad-shouldered with that mischievous smile that made women blush and made men call him shaman. He had a way of laughing loudly, gesticulating dramatically, and speaking with such confidence that people believed anything he said, whether it made sense or not. Their marriage had started beautifully 4 years ago. Their wedding had been one of the most talked about events in the city, where everyone smiled and said, "This too will go far." And at first they did. Their honeymoon pictures looked like magazine covers. Their friends envied them and their families bragged about them at every gathering. But behind the flawless pictures and coordinated smiles, there were little turns hidden in the roses. Terms Imelda noticed but chose to ignore, at least at first. It began with the usual late-night phone calls, where Zion would step out of the room to take business calls, weekend meetings that somehow lasted from morning till evening, a sudden obsession with his appearance, and that suspicious habit of checking his phone as if it contained state secrets. Elder noticed these changes, but she said nothing. One evening, as they sat on the balcony sipping wine, she decided to tease him just to see his reaction. "Z, who keeps calling you at midnight these days? Is there a business deal more important than sleep?" Zion laughed and leaned back on his chair. "Sweetheart, you know how it is now. Money doesn't sleep. Deals don't wait." Alda tilted her head slightly. She was smiling, but it didn't mean she was convinced. "So, money doesn't sleep, but it seems money also likes texting you. 'Good night, baby,' at 2 a.m. Interesting." Zion almost choked on his wine. He coughed, cleared his throat, and quickly adjusted his shirt. "You and your detective skills again? It's nothing in me, just business, I promise." Imelda smiled but didn't respond. She had learned something very important about her husband over the years. If you pressed too hard, Zion would build walls. But if you stayed calm, silent, and watchful, eventually he would reveal himself. She remained silent for a long time. Then she said, "Z, I love you, right?" Zion smiled. "Of course." Imelda nodded. "Then please don't ruin this. Don't make me fight for you. I don't have strength." Zion held her hand and kissed her knuckles like she used to when they were still dating. "Baby, there is nothing to fight for. You are my one and only." He said it so sincerely that anyone would have believed him. Well, anyone except that night as Zion slept soundly beside her. His phone vibrated twice. Imelda didn't touch it. She didn't need to. She already knew what it meant. Now, if there was one thing Zion Uba loved more than cold champagne, it was attention. And Chisholm Caro knew exactly how to give it. They met at a friend's birthday party in Independence Layout. Imelda, who ran an interior decoration business, was out of town that weekend for a client's interior project. So, Zion came alone. Chisholm spotted him from across the room and decided immediately that she was going to get his attention. She was tall, curvy, and knew that she could get whatever she wanted if she played the right cards. So, she stood up and went to sit with him. When Chisholm finally introduced herself, Zion felt the shift instantly. She smiled. "I have heard about you. I must say you are even finer in person." Zion adjusted his designer wristwatch and grinned. "Be careful, beautiful stranger. Words like that can start trouble." Chisholm laughed and sipped her wine slowly before whispering, "Sometimes trouble is exactly what we need." And just like that, trouble officially entered the chat. Within 2 weeks, Chisholm became Zion's daily distraction. At first, it was harmless, lunch meetings. Then it graduated into quick drink, after gym, and soon it landed at late-night calls that stretched into the early hours. She had a way of making him feel powerful, respected, and admired. The exact opposite of how he felt he had been living under Imelda's shadow. Chisholm flattered him at every turn. "Z, baby, you are such a visionary. I don't know how your wife keeps up with such a brilliant man. Honestly, you deserve a throne, not just a house." And Zion soaked it all in like a thirsty plant. He started dressing better, buying new perfumes, and even downloading workout apps to tone his arms. His confidence inflated so much that one night, he stood in front of the mirror and hyped himself. Chairman, big man, Odogu par. However, Chisholm was playing a very different game. While Zion saw romance and respect, She saw opportunity. She saw the expensive cars, the big house, and the expensive lifestyle. So she assumed if she had a strong grip on Zion, she would get it all. As for Imelda, she wasn't blind. She had known Zion long enough to read him without words. Suddenly, his phone were always face down. His business meetings multiplied overnight. He even started homing in the bathroom, buying new sneakers, and taking longer showers than usual. One evening, as they sat in the living room watching TV, she leaned against the couch, fixed her eyes on him, and said, New perfume, new shirts, new sneakers. Zion, are you attending a secret fashion show I wasn't invited to? Zion was startled but forced himself to laugh. Baby, please, can I upgrade my look a little? Is self-care now a crime? Imelda smiled and shook her head. Oh, self-care is fine. No, but when self-care starts picking late-night calls in the bathroom, it looks more like Tim Care. Zion almost spilled his drink. You really need to stop watching those social media videos that switch women to suspect everything. You are starting to sound like FBI. Unfortunately, while Imelda chose to remain silent, Chisholm was driving. Zion was spoiling her like a man competing for boyfriend of the year. He would sponsor her weekend trips to Erie, take her to lunch at expensive restaurants, and he even got her a new iPhone she casually mentioned once. As per Odogu Parara, he had it delivered to her the very next day. And Chisholm would brag to her friends constantly, My Zion is different. He's not like this broke boys running around begging for recharge cards. My Z takes care of me. I am entering soft life. Her friends nodded in admiration, but one of them raised a bow and warned her. Chisholm, be careful. You don't know his wife. She might be quiet, but those ones can shock you. Chisholm rolled her eyes and waved her hands dismissively. Please leave that one. She can't do anything. Zion loves me, and in fact, I know what to do. If Chisholm Carlo had one weakness, it was greed. She had tested the soft life and wanted the entire buffet. Zion's gifts and benevolence had convinced her that she was special, different, and destined to be more than a side chick. And now she wanted everything: the man, the house, the status, and the throne. One evening, as she and Zion sat in a cozy lounge at New Haven, taking overpriced cocktails, Chisholm leaned close and traced a finger along his arm. Baby, you are wasting your greatness. Oh, you deserve a queen who supports you. Someone who sees your value. Zion, who had already taken 3 glasses, puffed his chest slightly and felt 10 ft taller. Baby, you understand me? That's why I love you. Chisholm tilted her head and lowered her voice. Then, why are you still with her? Zion froze and blinked, like a man who just saw a ghost. With who? Chisholm shrugged. Imelda, your wife. Leave her. Divorce her. You don't need her. The words hit him so hard that he almost choked on his drink. He coughed violently, smacking his chest and reaching for his glass of water. Chisholm, are you trying to kill me with shock? Chisholm laughed and mistook his reaction for embarrassment. Relax, baby. You act as if I said something terrible. Don't worry, I will help you explain it to her when the time comes. Zion forced a weak smile and nodded, but inside his entire soul screamed, Divorce an elder! God forbid. Still, he didn't want to look small in front of Chisholm. He gave a diplomatic answer, pretending like a man who was in control. Let's take things slowly, one step at a time. Big decisions need careful planning. Chisholm smiled in satisfaction, thinking she had planted a seed. But she wasn't done. 2 days later, while Zion was at a business meeting that didn't exist, Chisholm sat on her bed, scrolling through Instagram, flipping through pictures of Imelda looking elegant and untouchable. Something inside her snapped. She opened Facebook and sent Imelda a message. Madam, your days in that house are numbered. Soon you will be replaced. Start packing your bags. She hit send, sat back, and smiled like a queen announcing her coronation. Inside the duplex, Imelda was curled up on the sofa, taking green tea and reviewing a client's mood board on her laptop when the message popped up. She read it once slowly. Then she read it again, and a small smile spread across her lips. She adjusted her silk robe and typed a reply. Just 6 words. By all means, be my guest. Then she picked up her tea and continued walking as though nothing happened. When Chisholm saw the reply, she busted into laughter and called her best friend Kika. This woman thinks I am joking. No, by this time next year, I promise her wedding. Pictures will be history. Kika tried to warn her. Chisholm, are you sure you understand who you are dealing with? That woman doesn't look like someone you can bully. But Chisholm rolled her eyes. Please forget that one. Imelda is quiet. Yes, but quiet women are easy to push. You will see now. Meanwhile, Zion thought he was playing both sides like a skilled chess master. With Chisholm, he acted bold and decisive, feeding her small promises to keep her happy. But at home, He switched into his perfect husband costume, giving Imelda flowers, sweet words, and late-night massages. Imelda continued to watch him closely. One night, as they had dinner, she noticed his phone lighting up on the table, vibrating. With a message, and without looking up from her plate, she said, "Zion, your phone is restless these days. Should I put it to sleep for you?" Zion coughed, fumbled with his, and quickly snatched the phone. "Oh, it's workin' me. Deals and opportunities. You know how it is now." Imelda shrugged calmly. I see. Now that I see," made Zion's heart beat faster, but he forced a laughter and changed the topic. Meanwhile, by now, Chisholm had upgraded her tactics. She bought new outfits, flaunted designer bags Zion bought for her, and even tagged him on Instagram with captions like, "Soft life or nothing." Her friends hyped her up and sent fire emojis, but Zion saw the post and panicked. "Chisholm, are you trying to get killed? Why are you tagging me in Instagram post?" Chisholm, who was lounging on her couch, flipped her braids dramatically and said, "Relax. Your wife can't touch me. Soon she won't even be your wife." Zion laughed nervously, but inside he cried to himself, "This girl will not kill me before my time." However, the truth was that Chisholm had no idea who she was dealing with. Imelda was quiet. Yes, but she wasn't weak. She was simply waiting. Waiting for the right time. Waiting for the right move. Waiting for everyone to walk straight into her trap. And they were already halfway there. Months later, when Chisholm discovered she was pregnant, she felt like a queen already securing her throne. She paced around her bedroom in her silk robe, smiling like someone who just unlocked VIP access to heaven. Finally, let's see who can stop me now. She didn't call Zion immediately. Nah, she had bigger plans. If this baby was her golden ticket, she was going to cash in premium. So she spent 2 days rehearsing her strategy in the mirror. She would put up perfect tears, soft voice, and add emotional blackmail. When she finally called him, Zion was sitting in his car outside a bar scrolling through football memes. Chisholm pretended to cry. "Baby, I need to see you. It's urgent." Zion panicked instantly, and his mind started flipping through imaginary scenarios. "Chisholm, breathe first. What is wrong? Did someone die?" Chisholm snipped dramatically. "Yes, our hide. And Seek died." Zion froze. "Wait. What?" Chisholm dropped it. "And pregnant." There was silence. The kind of silence that makes grown men see their ancestors. Zion stared at the steering wheel and his brain blinked slowly like bad Wi-Fi. He exclaimed, "Father Lord, why me?" But Chisholm mistook his shock for excitement, and she quickly continued, "Baby, don't worry. We'll figure it out together. In fact, I have been thinking maybe it's time to move in. We need to make this family thing official." Zion sat up straight and started coughing like someone who inhaled ground pepper. "Moving where?" Chisholm replied confidently. "Your house, of course, now our house. You, me, and the baby." Zion blinked hard. "Chisholm, are you okay?" Chisholm replied, "I am more than okay, baby. I am your future." And then 3 days later, on a bright Saturday morning, Zion woke up to the loud, angry honk of a boat driver in his compound. He looked out of the window and nearly fainted. Chisholm stood at the gate wearing oversight sunglasses, red lipstick, and holding 3 big travel bags. Behind her, the driver struggled with 2 more suitcases. Zion threw his hands on his head. "This girl has come to finish me." "No." Imelda was downstairs taking her coffee in a soft satin robe, scrolling through her phone when the doorbell rang. She opened the door and there was Chisholm smiling like a tourist who just arrived at a luxury Airbnb. "Good morning, madam." I am yet to say's eyebrow lifted slightly. She turned, looked upstairs, and called out, "Zion, your guest has arrived." Zion ran down the stairs 2 at a time, sweating profusely. He whispered, "Chisholm, what are you doing here?" Chisholm answered proudly, "Baby, I told you I'm moving in. It is better for the baby and for us." Alda continued taking her coffee unbothered, as if she was watching a Nollywood audition in her living room. Then she declared, "This is fascinating, Zion. Would you like to explain why a pregnant woman with 5 suitcases is in our house calling you baby?" Zion's lips moved, but no sound came out. After pacing for 5 minutes and sweating like a goat in pepper soup, Z sat them both down in the living room and tried to play the peacemaker in me. "Listen, things happened. Mistakes were made, but Chisholm is pregnant now. Please, I want you to accept her as a second wife for peace sake." Chisholm adjusted herself confidently and crossed her legs as if she had just worn a crown. She protested, "Second wife." "No, no, no, no." Zion stopped begging her. "This is not about her feelings. If she doesn't want to stay, Fine, she can leave. I mean, she doesn't really have a choice here now. Imelda placed her coffee cup gently on the glass table, wiped the color of her lips with a napkin, and looked at Chisholm with a calm but terrifying smile. Exactly. Chisholm's proud smile widened. She thought she had won, but Imelda leaned forward slightly and continued. I'll leave, but before I go, let me school you to help you understand the house you are walking into. She stood up, walked to the massive bookshelf at the corner, and pulled out a brown folder filled with documents. She placed it on the table and flipped through pages without looking up. This house paid by me. The cars outside. Mine. The business. Paying for the electricity keeping your wig dry right now. Mine. And the man you are so eager to have. She turned and pointed at Zion, who sat frozen like a carved statue. He's jobless, lazy, and unmotivated. I have been Fing his entire existence for years. Without me, Zion Uba cannot even buy lollipop on his own. The silence that followed was loud enough to hear a fly land on the glass table. Chisholm blinked rapidly, and her confident smile melted into confusion. She turned slowly to Zion, waiting for him to deny, to shout, and to defend his honor. But Zion stared at the floor, clapping his hands tightly together like a man whose wife just delivered unexpected triplets. He said nothing. Smiled. You wanted my place. Congratulations, you can have it. But you see, when I walk out of that door, I take everything with me. Chisholm opened her mouth to respond, but no words came out. At that moment, she felt like a woman who had bothered the wrong boss, and the driver just announced there was no refund. Imelda stood tall, straightened her robe, and walked upstairs without another word. For 2 full minutes, there was silence. Zion sat on the couch staring at the blank TV screen while Chisholm sat opposite him, still trying to process what she had just heard. Finally, she broke the silence. Baby, please tell me she was lying. Zion rubbed his temples and tried to laugh, but it sounded like the last breath of a dying man. I was going to tell you eventually. Chisholm frowned. Tell me what, Zion? He sighed and whispered as if he was telling her a secret. I don't really have money. Oh, he mailed her. She fonded everything. Some froze. She blinked 3 times, tilted her head slightly, and laughed hysterically. I'm sorry. I didn't hear you well. Did you just say he meant that your wife was Fing your life? The trips, the gifts, the house, everything. Zion nodded shilly. Chisholm screamed. Oh my God. She held her head like someone solving for the mathematics, under pressure. Wait. So I fought a woman. I insulted her. I sent her messages threatening to replace her. And now the man I risked everything for is jobless. Hey God. For 2 full minutes, there was silence. Zion sat on the couch staring at the blank TV screen while Chisholm sat opposite him, still trying to process what she had just heard. Finally, she broke the silence. Baby, please tell me she was lying. Zion rubbed his temples and tried to laugh, but it sounded like the last breath of a dying man. I was going to tell you eventually. Chisholm frowned. Tell me what, Zion? He sighed and whispered as if he was telling her a secret. I don't really have money. Oh, he mailed her. She fonded everything. Chisholm froze. She blinked 3 times, tilted her head slightly and laughed hysterically. I'm sorry. I didn't hear you well. Did you just say he meant that your wife was Fing your life? The trips, the gifts, the house, everything. Zion nodded shilly. Chisholm screamed. Oh my God. She held her head like someone solving for the mathematics under pressure. Wait. So I fought a woman. I insulted her. I sent her messages, threatening to replace her. And now the man I risked everything for is jobless. Hey God. Zion looked up offended and still holding on to his ego like life support. Calm down now. I am not jobless. Chisholm. I'm only between opportunities. Chisholm stopped pacing and glared at him. Look at you. Do you even have transport fare for those opportunities? That afternoon, Imelda took a long shower, dressed up in a white silk blouse and blue jeans, applied her nude lipstick, and packed her essentials into 2 suitcases. By 3:00 p.m., she walked down the staircase like a runway. Queen. Zion and Chisholm were in the living room, sitting awkwardly far apart, pretending to scroll through their phones, but actually they were stealing glances at each other. Imelda stopped halfway and spoke in that dangerous tone. Congratulations, little girl. You can have the throne, only that everything that makes it shine leaves with me. Then she opened the door, stepped into her driver's waiting car, and was gone. The first week after Imelda's exit, Chisholm tried to convince herself that everything would be fine. We will survive, she would tell herself every morning as she arranged her expensive wigs on the dresser, but reality came knocking loudly and without shame. The first shock came from the bank. Zion tried to withdraw 200,000 naira to take Chisholm out for stress relief, but the ATM rejected the transaction. He tried again and got the same result. He called the bank manager angrily. "What do you mean this account is restricted?" The manager replied, "Sir, the business account is in Mrs. Emelduba's name. The signatures have been revoked." Zion's voice cracked. "You mean I don't have access to my own money?" The manager sighed. "With all due respect, sir, it was never your money." And with that, the line went dead. By the end of the month, the kitchen pantry looked as if it had been robbed. There was no wine, no groceries, not even biscuits. Chisholm opened the fridge one morning and found one lonely bottle of water, 2 slices of stale bread, and leftover jollof rice Zion had reheated twice already. She muttered, "This is not my portion." But baby girl? It was the baby girl lifestyle she bragged about online had turned into budget management classes she didn't sign up for. She was standing barefoot in an oversized t-shirt, calculating how to stretch 1 tin of milk for 3 days. Chai. Reality had really humbled her faster than 4 price increases. One evening, she confronted Zion. "Z, I need 50,000 naira for antinata and supplements." Zion leaned back on the couch and crossed his arms like a man defending his final pride. "Chisholm, let's be realistic now. The economy is hard. See if you can manage 5,000 naira for now. God will provide." Chisholm stared at him with open jaws. 5,000 naira for me and the baby." Zion nodded. "Yes. Now the baby is still small. He doesn't even eat much yet. As if being broke was not enough, Zion discovered new levels of shamelessness. He turned into a professional beggar. One afternoon, Zion backed into the bedroom where Chisholm sat on the bed, scrolling through baby names on her phone. "Baby, quick one. Do you have 2,000 NRA? The boys want me to join them at the viewing center. Today's match is very important." Chisholm slowly turned her head and blinked like an owl. "You want to go watch football? With what stomach?" "Zion, there is no single grain of rice in this house." Zion waved his hand dismissively. That is why I'm stressed now. I need more relaxation." When she refused, Zion sighed dramatically. And then he dropped the line that nearly made her throw a shoe at him. "You are the one that sent Elda away when she was here. We never lacked anything." Chiz gasped and held her chest. "Are you mad? You cheated. You chased your wife away. You brought me here and now you are blaming me because you lost the woman who was feeding you." Zion protested. "I am not blaming you. I am just saying. You should try to understand the situation you entered and man up." That evening, Chisholm sat on the kitchen stool, held her belly, and wept. However, the tears weren't for love. They were for hunger, anger, and the harsh realization that she had invested in a broke man with premium audacity and shamelessness. She didn't win a man. She won a liability. Unfortunately, by the 3rd month, the landlord came knocking. The rent was overdue and he wasn't in the mood for excuses. Mr. Zion knew, "Madame, the grace period is over. If I don't see my 1.5 million naira by the end of this week, I will send you out and lock this house." Chisholm turned to look at Zion, expecting him to handle it, only for Zion to smile awkwardly and say, Maybe you can assist small now, Chisholm. After all, we are partners." Chisholm almost collapsed on the spot. As a result of hunger and lack, Chisholm started putting up her expensive wigs on her Gigi account for resale. Even then, Zion still had the audacity to collect parts of her money. "Now we are partners. Remember, we must support each other." Chisholm stared blankly in disbelief. "You and support." In the same sentence, every night, Chisholm would lay awake, wondering how her life went from spa dates to calculating pure water money in less than how many months. However, somewhere on the other side of town, Emelda had moved on. She even upgraded. Her interior design business exploded, and she set up branches in Abuja and Lagos. She bought a new penthouse in Enugu's lifestyle estate, hired new staff, and even upgraded her car to a black Range Rover Vela that made neck snap whenever she drove. Bye. Her skin glowed because her peace of mind was untouchable. Down. The landlord of their white house kept true to his promise by throwing Zion and Chisholm out, and they had to move into a tiny 1-bedroom apartment in Abapa. Chisholm, who was now heavily pregnant, became perpetually annoyed whenever she slept and woke up on the flat and strong bed, the type they called. Zion, who had been stripped off his big man facade, woke up every morning with one mission: to find free food and to avoid responsibilities. His WhatsApp bio changed to hustling and grinding. God no gosh, but God was busy that period. Chisholm finally delivered a beautiful baby boy, and for a moment she thought things would get better. Spoiler alert, they didn't. She wasn't informed that babies were expensive. Diapers, formula, doctor visits, everything required money she didn't have. Her Instagram captions shifted from "down soft life Quinn" to "down soft hardworking mom" overnight. All her wigs, designer bags, and luxury perfumes slowly disappeared because she sold them one by one to cover baby needs. One evening, Chisholm sat on a plastic chair, in their bedroom, rocking the baby while Zion sat across from her, scrolling through football memes on his cracked phone. "Zion, we need baby formula. It's finished," Zion replied without looking up. "But we just bought one last week now." Chisholm rolled her eyes. "Yes, because babies eat Zion." Zion sighed deeply and placed his phone on his chest like someone mourning his dead pride. "Okay, let me ask Ucha if he can borrow me 5,000 naira. You know I left her stranded." Chisholm trembled with anger. "Oh, she left you, Zion. I wasn't in her marriage contract." Zion held his chest like a wounded soldier. "You are shouting." "Oh, after all, I sacrificed to choose you." Chisholm laughed bitterly. "You sacrificed your wife's ATM card to choose me. Zion, you are very shameless." Unfortunately, weeks later, life with its wicked sense of humor arranged a scene neither of them would forget. One Saturday afternoon, Zion and Chisholm attended a wedding at Golden Royale Hotel, mostly because there was free food. That was their secret routine now. Burials, wedding, birthdays, as far as there was free food. Chisholm borrowed a friend's dress and wore her best smile, hoping nobody would recognize her. Everything was going on well until Elda walked in with a tall, distinguished man. They were both dressed like royalties. Zion's frog froze halfway to his mouth. She soon stopped chewing and her jaw slacked. Emelda sat down and spotted them. Then she smiled, raised her champagne glass slightly in their direction, and turned back to her conversation without another glance. That tiny gesture, that quiet dismissal burned Zion's chest like acid. By the time they got home that night, Zion was pacing the living room like a frustrated lion. "Did you see the way she ignored me?" "Me? Ziona?" Chisholm stared at him blankly. "Zion, you were wearing borrowed shoes and eating free rice. Relax, Jar." Zion glared at her. "So, you are mocking me now?" Chisholm snapped. "No, Zion, I am surviving you." "Cheese, you are so frustrating." The next morning, Chiz unpacked her baby bag and her dignity and went to her aunt's house. And to make matters worse, that same morning, Emelda sent a delivery man to deliver the divorce papers to Zion. He had to sign it reluctantly after the lawyer called him to threaten for damages of deceit and infidelity. Months later, Zion and Chisholm were still living apart. He was still broke. While she had started selling wigs online, but they constantly dragged each other on Instagram. Thank you for watching the story. Kindly share your thoughts about the story with me in the comments section. Give the story a thumbs up and share the story out with your loved ones. Subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Until I bring another story your way. Bye.